I've got a tennis. I'm not going to jump into Chief's territory because he and I we work like this. But I'm going to back over one of his ship-offs.
Yep.
Because I don't feel great about where we're at in this world of tennis at the moment. And and I'm not blaming the kid so much. I'll just give you a heads up.
This is one of the great on-field sledges. I'm looking forward to hearing your take on this because he's a man who didn't miss many out there.
No. Especially you,
the Wolf. Poor old Matty Croft, an old teammate of mine, is still recovering from it.
What did he say to Crofty?
He might have
embarrassing.
He might have said to Crofty, what did you say before the game started? It was ordinary. One of the nicer people
was
I've
it
ever
arrogant?
met. It was arrogant.
It would have been chock full of arrogance.
10 goals later. Come on.
That's what we're dealing with. That's the sort of stuff. Poor old Crofty, never been the same.
I'm not sure Chief missed too many either. So we've got a couple of
good ones.
I
never sledged on field.
Oh, didn't you?
Never, ever sledged on field.
I'll back that up.
Did you mention to a couple of the blokes you're playing with that you didn't know they were?
Never, ever. Never, ever. Chief. But normally the blokes you didn't know, Jim, they weren't there long anyway.
Well, this AFL going around the 4 clubs that got to play Essendon between now and the end of the year and telling them how to behave.
Come on, Jim.
Gary.
Please.
We'll accept a lot of what they do at City Hall, but this ain't where we're going.
Well, we have great respect for the religious and the sexual orientation and the racial but when it comes to these other issues, then leave it to us to work out what's right and what's not.
So has there been a memorandum sent to players and people in the game saying we do not want... Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Chip LeGrand wrote it in the Australian yesterday, and after the Adam Cooney situation in last weekend's game, and there was supposedly some words exchanged around the drug use, potentially. So Essendon informally went to the AFL, said this is not on, and then the AFL took it upon its own back
how
to
sanitised does how
go to the
sport
next 4
become
games.
where we are now in this space?
You know what the AFL have done effectively? They've given even greater licence now for teams to play against Essendon to Sledgers. Because now you're going up and saying, you need the AFL to hold your hands, you pack of pansies. And on and on and on. It self-perpetuates to the point where if you're Essendon, but you're saying, let us fight our own fight.
Exactly.
For God's sake. Well, we'll handle this. I mean, honestly.
Gary.
God.
Let me assure you of the fact that over a decade there was no more sledged cricketer in Australian first-class cricket than myself.
Rightfully so.
My magnificent...
We can all understand that.
My magnificent mother, Joni, who's been with me for the week, some of the work she was meant to have done. Jesus Christ. I still look at her, Chief, and I can't believe what she was alleged to have got up to.
Murph Hughes does say he did reserve his best stuff for you too.
No, 100%. But I don't ever understand. Now, I know the boundaries, and we're respectful of them, and there's no problem with that. But beyond that, surely to God, Purple, you can cop whatever you cop, and if you're a man in playing a man's game, you stand up for yourself and get on with it.
But when you get sledged, the person is dying for you to bite. They want you to bite. They want you to come in. If you just ignore them, geez, they lose wind. The wind goes out of their sails real quick. They go, I'm not getting anything out of this bloke. I'll move on. I'll find another target.
That is true and not true, Chief. In your instance, you never bought. You never used to bite, which was a great credit to you because you were too busy kicking goals.
I got sledged a lot.
Oh, of course you did. But then,
then
after your ninth and third quarter, they probably looked at each other and go,
off a bit.
This ain't working, boys.
About having a fat ass, Chief? Or anything going back?
White shorts weren't great for me, Jim.
How about the week you wore the helmet, Chief? How did you go that day?
Well, I kind of thought, given I'd come back from a near-death experience, probably the most courageous ever to grace the field in the VFL's history, that I might have been cut a little bit of slack from the opposition. All they tried to do was use it as like the crosshairs and try to take my head clean off its shoulders. I kind of thought if they could just have the helmet spinning on the ground and a bloody pulp next to it, that'd be win-win.
There's a large helmet too.
The ratio of sledging for the Chief with the helmet was 1 to 1,000. 1 when he was playing, 1,000 when he's retired. Because it's still going.
No, it is.
Still
and I like it.
Yeah, I
got
like
no problem with it.
No, I love it.
In fact, you shouldn't have played that week, Chief. If you had your time again, you shouldn't have played.
I had to play with it for 8 weeks, Jim. I wasn't allowed to play. The surgeon wouldn't give me clearance to play unless I wore it.
I reckon it's tainted your legacy. Honestly. You're one of the greatest of all time. But I reckon those 8 weeks did you no favours.
I disagree, Jim. When your legacy's that big, you kind of take a hell of a lot to taint it.
It's not a great look, though, Chief, is it?
It wasn't my finest moment. What could I do? I had no choice.
Well, there should have been a different styling.
No, it wasn't, mate. That was handmade by the surgeon.
Oh, that's worse. That's even worse.
Driving
It's a
belts.
one-off.
Correct. There was no aesthetic quality about it at all.
Oh, you're telling us.
Young at times in your career, who got hold of you verbally first couple of years?
No one.
No, they would have.
No one.
Someone. an
Even when
old
you're 18,
Marley,
yes?
exactly.
As a 18-year-old?
Let me give that. All right, we used to Richmond were our targets because
Co-tenants.
they weren't great in the era that we were playing some good footy. So old Craig Lambert and Cambo and all those boys, they used to be good targets of ours. And
No,
What'd you
I'm
give it to?
saying someone who-
What'd you give it to them over?
not proud about some of the things we said there, Chief. But it's just not there. We're not purging ourselves. But
Who gave it to you is more I'm interested in your young days.
no, I got belted a lot. I did. Me and David Rees-Jones used to punch on. I was only probably picked the wrong fight there, but thought I'd best fly the flag and came off second best on more than one occasion. And of course, the greatest of all, or one of the greatest of all time, King to me, Gazza Ablett. So I was up at the tribunal a lot. Rick Kennedy smashed me. Dermot belted me in the back of the head after I out-nudged him and out-marked him and was pretty much dominating him. So he didn't like that, Dermot, so he just punched me in the back of the head. Got 4 weeks for it.
I had an encounter, I was telling the story this morning actually on radio, where I was lining up for goal, playing against Hawthorn. I won't name names because, and a person did the regular thing about a family member and suggested they might have had their way with.
Yep.
And it just went straight through and out the other end, and it didn't even take notice. Slotted it through from 45.
That's it.
And then I got a call on the Monday from that player who then said, "Hey, look, I really regret what I said." And I had to double check and go, "What did you say?" So little effect did it have, and I didn't.
No.
And then he had sat on it and thought, I don't want you to have the wrong. Which was an unbelievable experience in that era for someone to do that. So
Absolutely.
it made me worry more though. The fact that he was ringing on the Monday, I thought maybe there is something to it.
Well, Merv Hughes never rang me.
Or should
I
he
can
have?
pretty safely say that to you, Purple.
Hey, the pack have misread us.
What are they doing?
In fact, these must be new pack Nipsies because they couldn't misread the conversation. I'm pretty sure we said if it's religious,
Yeah, there are
racial,
clear boundaries that are
anything
never
else,
crossed.
we don't go to. So,
Exactly.
Reese, interesting you have this opinion on sledging when most of the blokes had a very different opinion about booing goods. Nathan, this is Nate Thompson. I don't reckon it'd be that, would it? Nate
Couldn't
Thompson? Did Wolf also tell Goods he just suck it up last week and stop being a pansy, or has he changed his tune? Boys,
It's got nothing to do with the race.
You made that very clear.
I think
but
these are AM Nipsies or just
Yeah,
trying
drifted
to
across.
infiltrate.
Wandered over to the pack.
Well, their hands started sort of shaking over the type pad because they've never been this entertained. So they got a few words wrong. Preemptive texting's buggered them, Gary. Poor dog. Well, it gets radio. You got to explain what you're doing, you two halfwits.
Well, the pack have been listening and they sent a photo of Chief in with his horrible
Yeah,
helmet.
the helmet, yep.
And then I've got a photo here from Troy Parkinson of Reese gouging me.
Right.
A stand-up eye gouge.
Full standing eye gouge.
Yeah, with no trying to hide it.
You're not fighting back there.
You
are
are
you?
not
You're just
fighting
copping
back.
it.
You're just
three
getting
by the
slapped.
stage.
I love it, Duke.
So how do you expect the AFL community to respond to this thing? A team's going to take it easy on this. I mean,
I wouldn't
and
think for
I
a
don't think it'll
second.
change one thing.
Who plays Essendon this week? Brisbane, do they? No. Adelaide, do they?
Adelaide, I think it is, yeah.
Oh, I don't think Scott
Port Adelaide,
Camporelli would mention it. Is it Port, is it?
No, it's Adelaide.
Sorry.
Adelaide, Eddie Haddon.
Don't worry.
Port by GWA.
Scott Camporelli wouldn't mention it once, Jim.
But Gaz, I reckon that the good sledgers and those that are still out of the old school go your path, mate. I'd love to talk about your issues with the supplements. I'm not allowed to, given you're such pathetic, insipid, weak babies. I won't mention it because that's not what we're allowed
You
to
had
do.
Mark Evans come down the rooms beforehand and have a talk to you poor boys. You're right to go. You think you can run out here and get through the game? All that sort of
That's
stuff.
where
Can't,
it'll-
can't have you crying out in the ground. It's a
Yeah,
bad look
all
for the
that.
game.
That's
You
where
just
it'll head.
empty out on them, you would. In fact, you'd go twice as hard. In fact, I'd go
You've been
twice as
insulted.
hard.
Well, maybe don't encourage that, Gary.
Twice as hard, Warrior. Just give them a
No,
double
just
serve.
Let them get through the year.
And then I'd turn to the media box and have a crack at you.